glow mask. Found at raves and parties, the glow mask was a popular new trend. The masks were embedded with LED lights that lit up in unique patterns and designs. They would flash different colours, and at raves, being mostly nighttime events, the masks would present an interesting look. What the partygoers are not aware of, though, is what inspired the creation of these masks. The original model wasn't even a mask, but rather a parasitic creature that hunts during the hours of dark. The first victim we have on record claims that he found the mask during a party. It was just lying there on a stump, he claims, from his hospital bed. Not just his face, but his whole body is covered in bandages. He had been invited at the last minute to a party in the woods. He wasn't even sure he was going to go originally, but the person he had strong feelings for convinced him to. Seeing a chance with his crush, he agreed. He didn't realize that it wasn't just a party, but a rave. When he got there, he felt embarrassed in his slacks and hoodie, seeing everyone else so dressed up in outrageous costumes. Looking around, he found the mask. A simple plastic thing that had a skull pattern on it in weird lines. He thought that it was better than nothing, and so he approached it. As he got closer, he was stunned to find that it began to glow. The simple lines on the face mask lit up. It was a cool look, he thought, and without hesitation, he put it on his face. After that, the night was legendary, he explained to us. Everyone loved the mask, and he felt a massive sense of happiness as he enjoyed his first rave, spending the night dancing without shame and enjoying the company of the girl he had a crush on. People often stopped him to declare how cool his mask was, and as no one claimed the mask he'd found, he went with it. As the night progressed, he also started getting comments on the effects of his hoodie as well. Looking down, he saw that his hoodie had somehow acquired a lot of the same glowing lines his face mask had. It started from his collar and ran all the way down to his waist. It copied the same skull-like look, displaying his femurs, ribs, and spine in glowing, pulsing colors. But he was having such a great time, filled with such happiness and joy, making such emotional gains with the girl he liked, that he didn't question the new addition to his very plain pullover. No, he just danced and had a good time. And when his pants and shoes later had the exact same effect, completing his rave costume for the night, he didn't say anything about it. Just thanked them for the compliments, feeling very relaxed and chill with life and with everything. People were also asking if he could share any of his E as well, but he didn't know what they were talking about. His date explained that people wanted some of his ecstasy, because his mood was like he was on some really good pills. She admitted that she was curious about trying some of his stuff as well. He was confused, but didn't want to admit that he didn't have any pills. He did remember he had some mints in his pocket in case he was kissed, and decided to play it off. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his mint case and popped it open. Instead of the breath mints he was expecting, what he saw were glowing white pills. Again, his euphoric mood messed up his judgment, and he offered the pills to his date. She took them after admiring how he got his E to glow. He assured her that he had used a food-grade glow-in-the-dark food coloring. He didn't believe the words he was bullshitting her with, nor did he think about what those pills really were. He was just so hyped that everything this night was going his way. Seeing that he was offering, several other people nearby also took the pills, and soon his mood was spreading to the others. It wasn't long before they also noticed that their clothing was starting to glow. The same lines on his clothing were spreading to theirs, and slowly growing. Everyone was too caught up to question anything that was going on during the party. It all came to a head near the end of the night. He asked the girl who had invited him, who he had been dancing with, who he liked, if he could kiss her, because he liked her and the mood was perfect to confess. To his delight, she agreed, and she said that she liked him too. So he went to remove the mask from his face, but it wouldn't come off. He tried tugging and peeling, but nothing would work. The mask just wouldn't come off. Suddenly, something on his face compressed and his face started to hurt, like something was wriggling underneath his skin. The effect spread to his hoodie and even his pants. like many things were constricting around him. The color of the glowing lines turned an angry red. The mood broken, adrenaline spiking, he begged his friends to help him, and she started getting scared too. Before she could start helping though, her clothing started restricting her movements as well. But seeing what he was going through, she stripped as quickly as she could. Tossing her top and skirt that were infected, she barely got them off. Where she wore her clothing, she had nasty sucker marks all over, similar to what leeches leave behind after feeding. The amount of clothing she wore meant that there weren't enough lines to restrain her. She also didn't have them on as long as her friend did. The others who had tried the pills, experiencing the same, were able to remove their clothes as well. Like her, they had a lot of the sucker marks too. The only one that was left was the boy, who was screaming on the floor in agony, trying to strip off his clothing. Some people, seeing the issue, thinking it was a bad trip, tried to help him, but tugging on the clothing only made him howl in agony. Neither wetting nor even burning the material did anything. Finally, someone had the idea to take a knife and to try to cut the clothing off him. Once the knife made contact with one of the glowing lines, bright glowing blood gushed from the cut fabric, and the boy howled even louder. But the sleeve did loosen, so, pinning the thrashing boy down, several of the partygoers cut the fabric free. They were able to ignore his screams and strip him completely. The boy's skin was pale, almost blue in color, with dark black sucker scars everywhere, including his face. People screamed. The party was over and an ambulance was called. The boy was rushed to hospital where he was immediately given an emergency transfusion. Almost 4 liters of blood was missing from his body. He had almost died of blood loss. Officially, the event was put down to a strain of ecstasy that the boy had had a bad reaction to. When the agency got the report, a team was immediately dispatched to the woods where the party took place. The investigation revealed that these woods were infested with these glowworms, a bioluminescent leech or earthworm-like creature. Tests revealed that once attached to a host, they excrete a substance similar to ecstasy. The drug keeps the host docile and happy while the worm drains them dry. While drinking, the glowworms will rapidly expand and reproduce to absorb as much blood as possible until the host dies of blood loss. They're usually dormant. Only when exposed to warmth and sensing blood do they actually glow. The pills the boy had fed to his friends were the eggs of the creature. When consumed, they had quickly hatched once exposed to saliva and tunneled their way out of the host bodies, rapidly growing and preparing for another birthing cycle when feeding on blood. With no other choices available, we extracted every glowing worm in the small woods and fed them to a mulcher. The agency also had the original victim arrested for dealing in experimental hallucinogens. People now think that he spiked them with a bad drug and got exposed himself. Pictures of the mask have leaked, and now the costume version is far more widespread. This makes the suppression and collection of these creatures much harder when they do emerge.